What's up, guys? It's your host, Spartanic Arts DXD, back with another high school DXD related video. Today we have What If Issei Left, Part 5. I know this series has a ton of support, and I know it took a while for Part 5 to come out, but I've been having to do some things in the past 2 weeks where I was not able to sit down and record for pretty much an hour straight. So for this, I'm going to read a whole entire chapter, and oh my god, this is a crazy one, so stay tuned for this one. It's about to get crazy, okay? I know I read a little bit of it beforehand because I got excited as well. So thank you so much for the support, man. If you guys haven't... Okay, my bad. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload or exactly my upload schedule is, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button, or click the first link in the premiere or the first link down in the description below, and it'll take you to my channel membership, and boom, I'll tell you when I'm going to be uploading or what's updating or why I have not been posting in general, and you will find out very, very soon. So thank you so much for the support. If we can hit 500 or 600 likes this video, that'd be absolutely amazing. And without further ado, let's go ahead and thank my balance breakers: Aunt Lewis, Lachlan Yates, Jordan Patchow, Night Ammo, Refeek135, Slow, the Black Dragon Emperor, Keep Saying 21, $5 Sake, Vero of hashtag Dude347, XORX108, Zkey2000, Said Voiles, Chaotic Raven, God Said Why, Mazaku, Dr. _MGs_ is the Bomb, Grim Fireshot Gamer, Ryuga, Beta Joe 98, and Sora Spawner. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker, and thank you to all my limit breakers and Ultra Instinct members as well. You guys are always appreciated just as much. Thank you so much for the support, and without further ado, let's go ahead and you should subscribe to my second channels first, actually, and Popowski, and follow DXD down in the description below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Part 5. Chapter 14. In a dark and silent place, a blue magic circle would appear. From this circle, 3 people would appear after a few seconds. Tsubaki-san turns on the light. This place is very dark. Yeah, Sona-san, where was it? Using her ability as a demon to see in the dark. Here we are, activating the light switch. Thank you, Tsubaki-san. This place is not too big. Looking around the other place, Tsubaki turned on the light. Sona does. The room had 2 armchairs, and in the middle, a small table. This whole room was a little decorated, but in the room there was a window, but it was buried. There was also magical seals and a place to keep whoever was inside, restricting them from power. You're right, a blonde smoke as he sat down in one of the chairs. The 2 girls looked at him. He had a calm look, as if nothing happened, but that was not the case. Who gave you permission to sit down, annoyed by what the blonde believed? Sanji, I suggest you listen. Looking at the blonde, Tsubaki says, Girls, he was unable to finish speaking as Tsubaki took him by the neck and lifted him up in one fell swoop. I told you to listen. You have no right to speak, Tsubaki says, breaking her calm, stoic exterior, letting go of Sanji. Once again not able to talk as he received a punch from Tsubaki. You have no right to call me by my first or last name. Removing her fist from Sanji's face. To you, I am vice president, Tsubaki said. Sanji fell to the ground with his hand on his face. Tsubaki hit him so hard that it broke his nose already. Seriously, you act as if nothing happened. Approaching Sanji, Sona starts. You know the situation that you are in. If my sister did not have me detained, you would no longer be a man. To prove her point, she kicked him in the groin. That was more than likely bruised from all the damage it received, but he wouldn't get a chance to soothe the pain as Sona bent down and lifted Sanji by his collar. After all this, that you and them did not think anything would happen, pinning Sanji against the pillar. You have the brazenness to behave as if nothing happened, as if we didn't know anything. Her hair and glasses covered her eyes. Sanji tried to get some leverage. It seemed that Sona was putting all of her power into her grip since he could not be free, so he attempted to increase his aura. God, but stopped speaking when he felt a tremendous blow to his stomach. First you trick Momo's feelings and Ruriko's. Hits him in the ribs. Then you endanger everything I worked to fulfill my dream. Hits him again in the stomach. You endanger the pride in the name of the Citri family. Hitting him in the face. You spit on my trust. Backhanding him in the face. On Issei's confession. Kneeing him in the groin. On the damn trust we all had in you. Kneeing him again. Punching him in the stomach again and causing Hanji to cough up a little blood. You, another punch to the stomach. You dare, hitting him into the ribs. To try another hit to the ribs. Raise my hand. She hits him so hard in the stomach that the whole room trembled as the pillar was indented by his body and he puked more blood. Where was the man who supported me? Another hit to the head. The man who I trusted. The one who said he loves Momo and Ruriko. Issei's friend. And the one who said he loved me. Hitting him with an uppercut. Clapping his jaw and cracking some teeth. You threw everything away. Another knee to the groin. For a moment of satisfaction with a spoiled bitch in her useless band of whores. Hitting him again in the head. Putting me in this situation. Putting them in this situation. Putting your damn friend in a situation where he's dying. Hitting him again in the rib. Where he's on the verge of madness. You! She knees him one last time in the groin and then makes him look in her eyes through his swollen bloody eyes, seeing her ice-cold expression. You're a piece of shit! Hitting his head against the pillar. A crack was heard, indicating both the pillar and fracture in Sanji's skull. She released from her hold and let him fall to the ground. Sanji was back on the ground, but this time spitting blood. The front of his school shirt was soaked in blood, and each blow from Sona was as if it was hit by a wrecking ball. He felt that his stomach was destroyed, that each of his ribs were broken, his groin was sure to have stopped working, his head was spinning and wet from blood, his jaw ached, and he could make out nothing. But he listened as someone turned on the sink for a little while before it was turned off, and then hearing someone sit down in the armchair. Sona sat in the armchair under the sight of Tsubaki, who had not moved in all this time. Sona sat down, slowly looking at her hands, cleansed of the blood that once stained them. They were trembling, but it was not out of repentance, but rather she wanted to continue. The person that laid on the ground almost destroyed everything that she had worked so hard for. The peace of alliance, because he only thought with his dick. Because what would happen if Issei got out of control? Thanks to the fact that a pawn foolishly betrayed the pillar of the factions, the hero of the underworld, the hero of the children, and many more. This destroyed all empathy she had for him. These thoughts went through Sona's head. She was full of anger and fear. She clenched her fist to control the impulse to jump and finish off Sanji, to kill him, but calmed down when she felt a hand on his shoulder. She raised her face and saw Tsubaki with a worried look. It was then realized that she was crying. Her purple eyes released tears of anger. She wiped them away, and quickly they didn't stop, because those tears weren't just anger, they were fear. Fear because of how close she was to losing everything. Her pride, her dream, because of her so-called friend opening her legs to other men. And she knew it, because she didn't want to say it. While this happened, Tsubaki hugged her, which finally calmed her down. Little by little, she returned to her normal stature. Sona-sama, are you feeling better? Tsubaki said, concerned with her best friend and president. Yes, blushing from the contact. Thanks to you, you didn't have to hug me. Looking away, embarrassed, Sona said. Nothing to worry about, smiling that her friend is feeling better. Okay. Taking a deep breath, turning her attention to Sanji, who remained on the ground. By order of the 4 Miles, you will stay in this guarded apartment. You will be watched 24/7. If you try to say something to the girls, Vitra will inform us and you will be killed instantly. All the measures will be fulfilled until the factions meet with the advisors and people of high mantle to decide your punishment. Sona-sama, I'm going to tell the guards to come heal him, Tsubaki says, leaving the room. Sorry, Vitra-san, I let myself get carried away, nervous for how she acted. It's not a problem for me, Vitra said, but he thought to himself, damn, she almost killed him. No matter, I can use my curses to torment this disgrace even more, Vitra said, inside of his head. Good. Now to wait for one of them to come and heal him. Getting up from the couch, and before I forget, I'm sure you understand that Kahu and Jenna will no longer receive financial assistance nor protection from the Citri clan based on their reaction. Don't expect the assistance from the Gremory clan just because their daughter. Leaving to go in a room looked like a kitchen. If she stayed to see if she got a reaction, she would have seen the blonde crying, laminating on his actions that he caused and how his siblings would be affected. Now, in the underworld, in the Gremory mansion. Seriously, he won't come out a virgin? Zektis said. You should have seen his face, but maybe yes or maybe not. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but I hope. So, getting up from the bench, Valena says, that's good. I would like the virgin tag to be removed, Zectodius said. Hopefully, it's someone that loves him, not a random demoness looking for action. With the hero of factions also getting up from the bench, the couple left slowly under the moonlight. Now, we're with Issei. Issei walked down the slow corridor intrigued. Who was waiting for him? He couldn't think of a person who he wanted to see him now. But that wasn't the only thing he thought. Since the little by little moment he had Zectodius in calling Valena his mother, that little moment was something he considered very special to him. When he was nearing his room, thanks to his dragon's features, he got the smell of a female, along with the shampoo and soap. It was an incredible smell, according to him. He believed he had an idea whose smell it was, and that he saw from somewhat similar silhouette. It was Seraphal. She was giving off a scent that he had felt a few seconds ago. She wore jeans that reached her calves and some red heels, a white blouse with a couple of buttons undone to show some of her cleavage. Her hairstyle was changed, and now that she had it down, it looked smoother than normal. She had a hand on her cheek looking at the wall of the hallway. So basically, she looks like Boa from One Piece. She wasn't paying attention to him, but Issei was stunned and couldn't help but stare. She looked beautiful. As he thought of that, there was a fleeting moment where he began to process. He stopped moving and tried to decipher that fleeting thought. "It's true, she does look beautiful," Ddraig says, smiling. But there was a hint of mockery that didn't go unnoticed. "Ddraig, shut up. Understood?" Issei said. In these moments, Seraphal noticed him and turned to see him. Issei finished talking with Ddraig and returned to reality. The gazes of the two collided with each other. Seraphal noticed and smiled at him in a childish way. "Hello, how are you doing?" Seraphal says, getting up from the door. "Hello? What's going on here?" His tone was calm and his face was stoic. Issei saw Seraphal more closely, who tilted her head before returning to the gaze of Issei. "What is he seeing?" Seraphal says. "Then you were the one that came to see me," Issei replied. Seraphal put a finger on her chin, and after a few seconds she smiled happily, giggling in an energetic way. Seeing that, Issei just sighed to see her in the normal way of acting. "Huh. It seems that you have already returned to your normal way of acting, huh?" With a smirk at her childish behavior, Issei starts laughing. Seraphal looked at Issei, and her gaze went from childish to a serious one in a matter of seconds, and realized this. "It's not that, Issei-san. It is just something I have to see." Her tone is serious, no longer childish, Seraphal says. Seraphal finished talking. "Oh, I see." Taking out a beer that he had stored in the boosted gear, taking a drink of the beer, it's Betty to talk inside, approaching the door and giving the way to Seraphal after opening the door. Enter. Seraphal remained static, watching Issei just drink the beer as if it was nothing. She wondered since when did Issei drink, but he had to come back to her senses when Issei called to her to enter his room. With your permission, entering the room and looking around, there are no chairs, so where should I sit? Seraphal says. You can get on the bed, it's no problem," Issei says. Seraphal is surprised. Issei said as if it was nothing. What was going on through his head at the moment? A woman asks you where to sit because there are no chairs and you tell her to get on your bed? She was speechless, but she saw Issei, took some beers and wines, and put them on a little table that was near the bed and sat on the bed by himself. "Well," turning to Seraphal, because you don't want to sit?" Issei says. No, it's not that." Sitting down with a somewhat noticeable blush on her face because of her closeness of the two. "So," Issei says, downplaying, as it returned to the table. Seraphal saw how Issei left the beer that he had started drinking before entering the room, already empty, on the one side of the table, and he was going to take another, but when he touched it, he did not take, but his head shook and then spoke. "Ugh, they're disgustingly hot." Pouting like a child, before turning to Seraphal with a mischievous smile on his face. "But here I have a magical little ice girl. Hey, Sarah-chan, could you give me some ice?" Of course. It's no problem for me," Seraphal returned to her childish attitude. Seraphal created a block of ice and gave it to Issei, who took it and put it on the table, then took a bowl out and started to break it. Seraphal stared at Issei's back as he broke the ice. She knew that he was suffering from multiple things, but he turned away and acted as if nothing was wrong, and it seemed that he resolved or overcame something worse, as it looked. She left her thoughts and reflections when she felt him shift next to her. Seraphal turned and saw Issei with a glass filled with an amber-colored liquid and ice. He only stared at her for a few seconds, but to her it felt like years, because she felt a different aura in Issei. He looked like a beast looking at prey, looking at what she thought of how we'd act in the future. She felt all of that in just a few seconds, which made her environment very tense for her. "Hey, Sarah-chan, why did you come?" Issei said, taking a drink of his beer. Seraphal swallowed hard to shake off her nerves. "Nothing, just wanted to talk to you," Sarah said. Turning to look at the bed, "I hope you don't mind," her voice sounded in a low and defeated tone. After those words, the room fell silent. Seraphal looked up at Issei's face and saw him smile, with a calm and affectionate look. "Oh, Sarah-chan, I would never mind talking to you," Issei said, looking at her with some affection. After saying, he took another drink, and then he realized that he did not offer one to Seraphal. "Oh, right, Sarah-chan, do you want one?" Issei said, offering her a glass. Seraphal had a little brush, but noticing what he called her, she only nodded in confirmation. "Hold on, give me a second," getting up to start making Seraphal drink. Seraphal looked at Issei again. She was surprised by his behavior, and more so how he treated her and looked at her. She looked at him like a little brother a few days ago, a perverted and very cute boy, energetic, reliable, and more. However, that boy was in front of her did not seem like a child, nor a teenager, but rather an adult. He is no longer that aura of perversion, but seriousness and tranquility. She only smiled when she saw him. He was not the same as she knew, but at the same time, he was himself. It was something very strange. She felt good to see him behave like that, and she noticed it. Her heart beat fast for a second, and she left confused at the same time and worried. Was she falling in love with Issei without anything in between? Was that happening to her? Those were some of the thousands of questions that went through her head. Issei, when he finished making Serafall's drink, turned around and saw Serafall lost in her thoughts. He just went and stared at her. She really looked beautiful to him. That was the thought that went through his head. Noticing it, he was surprised, but decided to play it down for a moment. Sarah-chan? Moving the drink near Serafall, Issei says, "Oh, what? Yes." Haha, she started to laugh embarrassed. "Sorry, I kept thinking about something, looking away to avoid eye contact. Doesn't matter." Bringing the drink closer to her, "Here," making Serafall turn towards him to take the drink. Serafall, grabbing the glass, took a little taste of it. She knew that it was a beer mixed with a little wine, though she would have preferred juice or another sweet drink, but this was fine. Taking another sip of the drink and savoring the taste. "It's good," Serafall says, complimenting Issei's drink mixture. "I'm glad," Issei replied, also drinking his own glass. They remained silent. That silence was one of tranquility. Serafall would look at Issei with a sideways glance ever so often. "Hey, since when did you drink?" Serafall said, frowning as she looked at him. Since I was 5, saying it as if it were nothing as he returned her gaze. Serafall's eyes widened and her expression took a dark tone. When she was going to say something to Issei, she saw him with a somewhat big smile and then realized that he was only joking. "Ha! You should have seen the look on your face," Issei said, taking another sip of his drink. "And to answer your question, I started today." His tone returned to its nonchalant state. "That was very bad," Serafall said, generating her own pout as if she were a child. "But you really started drinking today?" Serafall said. "Yeah, Zictodius and I had a drink not too long ago," Issei said. "Oh, I see," Serafall said. The two were in the back in a quiet environment, but this time both of them were stealing quick looks at each other from time to time. The atmosphere continued to remain quiet till they ran out of drinks, so Issei decided to go make more, leaving Serafall to think on the bed. "Good. All is good to be done. I don't want to ruin this good atmosphere with the news, but I have to," Serafall says. Issei came back with Serafall and was still in thought. When he saw her, he could see that she was thinking, and when she saw his drink, he thought of doing something. He knew that if they kept drinking, he would not get drunk. So he decided to take out a golden apple liquor and mix a little in his drink. After doing so, he sat down, and seeing that Serafall was still thinking, he wanted to know why she was thinking so intently. "Sarah-chan, just tell me." "What is it?" Issei says, watching as she comes out of her thoughts. Serafall looked at Issei, who looked at her calmly, and she took a sip of her drink and spoke. "Well, the thing is that we put Sanji on surveillance for 24/7 until all of us decide his punishment and theirs, looking at her drink. But for that to happen, we need a little more time to arrange several things. It's only been almost 3 weeks since the Trihexa fight. We are not 100%, and we don't want to raise their suspicions. So the meeting is planned to take place in 3 weeks." With her head down, Serafall finishes. Serafall was waiting for Issei to get angry, get up and yell at her or something, but she only felt a hand on her shoulder, so she raised her face towards Issei. "Sarah-chan, I don't care about that. What worries me is your behavior. You have less childish than normal. Why?" His hand began to rub her shoulder and ease her. "I can't act like that in this situation." Beginning to cry, "I cannot act like that in front of you. You're going through, no, I can't act like a girl in front of you, but because it doesn't hurt to me. I can't see it." And she just starts continuously stuttering. She wanted to continue, but was unable to look Issei in the eyes, and she felt a hug and became silent. Issei continued to hold Serafall and began to generate anger. But that anger was at himself for seeing Serafall cry. Serafall. He clears himself of it and sees it in the eyes. "Of course I'm upset. I'm sad. I'm angry. But that is not directed towards you, nor Sir Zex, nor Sona, nor Valena, or Zictodius. I feel in many ways, but you do not have to worry about me," finishing off with a smile. Those were the true feelings of Issei, or so he thought. He didn't want to show his feelings or even get even with anyone, but he felt a very strong slap. "No, don't tell me that. If you trust me, just tell me. I want to know how you feel. I want to be here for you. You are an important person to me. I do not want to see you hurt. Seeing you hurt bothers me a lot. I want to know more or less how you feel. I want to help you, so please," crying into Issei's chest, Serafall continues. Sarah-chan, I don't want to do, and I can't. Look at you. I don't want to get you involved with my feelings. It's not because you wouldn't understand it, but because you could get, or we would get worse, and I would feel worse for getting you involved. His hair covered his face. I want to help, please. I want you to be open with me, as she kept crying, extremely upset. No, I can't do that. His tone became serious. Please, looking into Issei's eyes. Issei, seeing her cry, made him feel that he was the worst shit and that he could exist, but he did not want to. He could not. He was making one of the most beautiful women and the strongest woman in the underworld cry, before his indecision came with the words of his partner that would happen to make him open up to Seraphol and his future wife or wives. Do it, partner. Even if you remove the feelings of love, there will be many things that you will have to vent. It is better that you do it now, Ddraig says. The dragon was serious, but held concern for Issei. Issei remained silent after hearing those words. He was under the gaze of Seraphol, and the look of concern of his best friend and partner, then simply forcefully began to speak. Removing his smile, I am not strong. I am not feeling calm. I have many mixed feelings. Everything is not fine. I want to tell you everything, but I don't want to show you all my anger, my sadness, and more. That's why his voice became a very sad tone. He thought that his heart was strong, as if it came to take it all out. He would, but it seems that he could not do as he thought. He was afraid that he would be mocked, fear that the woman that he has in front of him would not understand. But before those fears, he felt his hand on his face, a delicate hand on one of the most important new people in his life, someone who went to look for him, cared about him, and is here, asking to help him, asking to see him in his worst form. That small gesture made his almost dead heart beat with emotion and affection. He decided to put this aside and focus on what he was about to say. You can trust me. Say it to your Oni-san, Seraphol said with some tears in her eyes but a smile on her face to assure him that she would be there. Go for it. You can do this, Ddraig said in a calm tone and added reassurance. Well, he had a smile, but a defeated one, with a defeated tone. I am afraid. I'm scared. To what I feel, and if I can do it, Issei says. Like what do you fear? Look, Sarah. I have an amount of immense sadness and anger. It's what scares me. I'm afraid of what I did to Sanji, Issei says. What? You did nothing wrong. He deserved it. Serious and annoyed of hearing that about the blonde kept in captivity. No, it is not that he deserved it, but rather that I liked it. I loved it. I wanted to continue doing it. I gave into my anger. I feel so much anger towards Rias that I want to go eradicate her while she breathes. I want to go to all and beat Asya senseless until I get tired. Take Akano and dissect her. You do not understand. I'm changing. I do not want to involve you with this change. I'm afraid of what will happen, for better or worse. Some tears came out, and at times his eyes gave off a slight amber glow. Seraphol could not say anything but only listen to Issei. I'm dying. I am dying, and it is because of them, for which I gave my sweat, flesh, and blood for. But I don't want to. I am afraid of dying. I do not want to feel in pain. I want it to end, but I am afraid of dying in the ritual. That ritual will change me. I am afraid to change to be something that can harm whatever little I have left. I am afraid to see and kill them, and that changes me. I am afraid to be empty. I want to be like before, but now I know how I behaved. But I want as if nothing happened to me. He hugged Seraphol and started crying. Seraphol felt his pain, his anger. These feelings were so dark. It was incredible that Issei kept himself under control. I want to go back, because this happens to me. After everything, I gave everything for them. But that was not enough. His eyes glowed amber, because they didn't tell me their feelings were no longer the same. They just wanted to abandon me and not tell me at all, because they just didn't tell me. More tears went down his cheeks, but his eyes still held the amber glow. They thought it was much better to do this to me than tell me something. They were supposed to be my girlfriends, my friends, my brothers, but it seems that only I was the one who believed that. He began to laugh sadly. I did so much that Konako would stop complaining about my attitude, but in the end they do this to the pervert. Kuroka wanted kittens. I just went out for a moment and she went to the one that continuously rejected her before. All of them, they forgot me. They changed me. I gave everything for them. I fought for them, bled for them, but they wanted something more. What did they want? Orpheus, LaFay, Rosvisa, Gabriel, Palmain, was I just a toy for them? They have the audacity to tell me they love me and then don't feel anything for me as they toss me aside with an emotionless tone. Seraphil let out tears as the strength in her embrace increased, holding him tighter. That damn blonde. A shoddy excuse of a gentleman. Thought you didn't sleep with committed woman. Maybe if it was some stranger, no. But with your friend, yes? Of course, yes, right? There's no problem. And that damn transvestite filth, an idiot without balls. Weren't you supposed to consider me a friend? Someone you look up to? He began to let loose at an immense murderous instinct. Let's not forget that so-called rival, who is the reason I was in a coma for, taking and attacking the Trihexa because his dumbass would have died. Some shit. You sleep with the woman of your adversary? Funny how you wanted to kill them at this peace summit. Maybe I should have let you kill them, and those excuses that call themselves parents. Each of them are scum, increasing his bloodlust. Because of them, I'm dying. I'm going to. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to see it happen when I do the ritual, hugging Seraphil more peacefully. I don't want to feel that pain. I'm afraid of what it will do to me. I don't want to change, growing silent and feeling numb. Seraphil raised his head to look into his eyes. Seraphil saw it. He was really afraid of the ritual. He wanted to stay as was, but at the same time be different. This reminded her of some of her things that happened to her in her past. So thanks to her experiences, she decided to speak. Issei-san, you are afraid of change. No matter how much you change, you will always be you. You may behave cold, rabid, but that does not matter. You are you. You will always be you. You decide how to do things. Be childish, cheerful, or courageous. That's for you to decide, giving a smile that enhances her beauty. When Seraphil said this, she remembered many things from her past and how she faced it. Issei, hearing those words, stared at Seraphil, looking directly into her eyes. He more or less understood and followed her words. It was at that moment the two opened up to one another. He told her much of what he felt. She looked into those feelings and she did not lead, but she did help him rid those fears. In exchange, both were lost in the eyes of each other. It was blue, full of infantilism, tranquility, happiness, and a little seriousness. In the depths of that blue transmitted maturity, a maturity of acceptance itself. On the other hand, they were amber eyes, which were full of pain, sadness, anger, fear, of future and the past. To Seraphil, those eyes showed his maturity was just appearing. It was small, but it was enough to size himself. Each one is lost in the immensity of eyes of one another. Unknowingly, the distance was cut centimeter by centimeter until they felt the warmth of their lips. Little by little, they were corresponding to kiss. At first, it was a calm one, but each second passed, the kiss increased in intensity until it became a battle of you-know-what. They continued until they ran out of air, and for instance, they separated, returned to their senses. They both opened their eyes as they realized what they had just done. Seraphil appeared to have a massive blush and got up from the bed. Breaking the embrace, Issei appeared to only have a slight blush, but he was so surprised at what he just did. There he noticed how Seraphil was leaving, trying to run away. I'm sorry, Seraphil says, trying to run with some tears coming down her face. I shouldn't have done, but was quickly stopped by Issei. I shouldn't have done this. This is my fault, trying to escape from Issei's grasp, but he continued to hug her and hold her. Calm down, Sarah-chan. That was my fault, and I regret it, with a little blush. No, it was my fault, Sarah said. Sarah, it's better if we sit down. A little nervous of what to do next. Issei is really confused. They both moved, never letting go of the hug, and sat on the bed. Seraphil did not speak. She only looked away, and Issei was looking for the reason for his action, but nothing came to mind. No matter how much he looked, he only got an idea that he liked Seraphil, his self-proclaimed older sister, one of the most beautiful women in the underworld, someone who can be an adorable girl, acting cute but at the same time be serious in every aspect which made her beautiful. He noticed this, and his heart beats quickly when he thought of her. It seems I can still fall in love, but because of her, I feel attraction for her. Almost always something happened for me to fall in love with those girls. A feeling of disgust, remembering that those betrayed him, but this time is only a feeling of tranquility and some happiness. But how am I noticing this, and why so suddenly? Confused, but answer came. Easy, partner. No matter how broken or crushed your heart is, you will continue to feel love. Remember your trauma with Rainier, and if I'm being honest, if you don't fall in love with her, you will forever be an idiot. Look at her and tell me what comes to your mind. Issei looked at Farafall, and many things came to his head. I feel calm, a sense of attraction. Before I thought she was very cute, but seeing her maturity and her down like that, wow, she really is beautiful. I told her part of horrible things that I would happen to those wretched, and she just hugged me instead of take control of what I am, and that does not matter to me as long as I am me. Honestly, I'm surprised that you feel attraction after all that's happened. But just by hearing you, you're starting to feel something more for her, partner. His tone changed to a bit of mocking one. To think you'd go down the path of incest, Ddraig says. Issei just kept thinking about Ddraig was saying. For Serafall, it was a bundle of reprimanding thoughts towards herself. How could she think of doing that? How could she reciprocate? How could she do it to her self-proclaimed younger brother? Because she liked doing it. Serafall liked kissing her younger brother. And there was replanted fetishes, but she liked the feelings of kissing him. Just FYI, guys, they're not actually related. Oh my god. And it was her first kiss. Serafall tried to bury those thoughts, but everything came to an end when Issei spoke. I'm looking at Serafall, sorry, lowering his head and hiding his face from Serafall with his hair. Serafall came to her senses. Looking back at Issei, she spoke. I'm the one who has to apologize. Also lowering her head, I shouldn't have let myself get carried away, Serafall says. Well, raising his head a little, it was done instinctively. You kissed very well. Let's not get so worked up. Getting up from the bed, Issei says. Serafall blushed at Issei's word, but she also got up from the bed and looked at Issei, who also had a blush. Both remained silent, but because of nowhere, they started laughing. Well, you also kissed very well, Issei-san, which was said so consistently. But after saying it, she realized how she said it. But before she could do anything, Issei spoke. Oh. Then since we both do kiss well, Sarah-chan, Issei said. They both looked at each other again, sitting back on the bed, and began to close the distance, but this time Serafall noticed it and stopped. No, getting up from the bed, this isn't right. I shouldn't have done it. I'm taking advantage of you, looking at Issei. Issei looked back at her. He got up and realized a few things. The first was how different Serafall was acting. Since before, they would have continued kissing. The second was how much she cares about him, not caring about her feelings and thoughts and putting him first, which would be her moment of weakness. Since the third was his dragon instincts were coming into effect, telling him to claim her. He got up and took her by the shoulders, and without hesitation or thinking, he kissed her. The action surprised Serafall at the time, but she remained static. Eventually, she reciprocated. Issei was surprised with himself because it took an incredible amount of courage and effort, but adding in his dragging instance, he wanted it. Nothing was stopping him. Both were alone, fighting for control, which Serafall won this time, but they had to separate due to the lack of air. Serafall breathing deeply. He said, we stood in a tone of guilt, taking advantage of Issei, but she was silenced with another. You know what? Serafall's heart was beating like crazy. She didn't want to continue. Well, no, she did, but she was stopping it. Because she wanted to know something before, something else that she may or may not regret. Why? Keeping away from Issei Hyoudou, she wasn't going to give in just yet. Huh? Confused by her question or stopping his advance, Issei was. Why are you doing this? Serafall said. She became even more serious, but unintentionally attracted Issei even more. Well, it seems that you, pointing at Serafall, my beautiful big sister, you're starting to attract me. His burning amber gaze was her, seeing how serious he was behind the seriousness. If Serafall looked closely, a little lost. What? How is that possible? Serafall said, surprised that he found her attractive, but not just as an older sister. Well, it seems that even after all this, I feel attracted to you, wanting you. A small blush appearing on his face when he mentioned wanting her. But don't you consider me your sister? Serafall said, nervous because her heart was racing. Laughing again. Well, yeah, capturing her inner gaze. So, lowering her head, you kissed me because you felt attracted to me, Serafall says? I kissed you because I wanted to. And of course I feel attracted to you, approaching her on the bed. But in this world, there is a red-headed siscon, a green-headed social misfit, a sleepyhead, and an ultra-perverted god who is the father of all, and an angel who is taking on more than his plate can handle. I feel attracted to you. I don't think it's raising Serafall's face to look at him bad, right? Finishing a smile, captivating the Leviathan. Serafall looked at him, seeing his smile, and she was beginning to feel that her feelings for Issei were changing. Do you want to continue? Issei said. I don't want you to come out crying when you lose, Serafall said, stealing Issei's lips for dominance. They began out again and again, until Serafall pushed Issei down the bed with her on top, Issei beneath her. Noticing this kid, they separated. Well, let's just, say they, smashed. He claimed the Malleviathan, and that is basically what was going on in that chapter. So, that was the end of chapter 14. Chapter 15. In the underworld, on a very high mountain that was illuminated by the light of moon, in the mountain there was a person sitting on the ground. Thanks to the moonlight, it could be distinguished. That said person possessed a purple suit. That person was a man about 30 to 35 years old, with light and dark purple hair, yellow eyes. This person looked more normal, but something was strange when he had yellow horns. When will he arrive? It's been a few minutes since I called him. He took out a glass with amber liquid and began to drink the set bottle. Out of nowhere, he felt an immense pressure in the sky as a huge ray of light appeared. From this light, a huge figure emerged to scale, shined by the light of the moon, and the figure began to speak. Looking at the purple-haired man, "Look who it is! It's been hundreds of thousands of years since I've seen you in that form, Tanin." Watching Tanin in human form while smiling. "Hello, Fafnir," looking at the golden dragon that was in the sky. "How are you doing?" Fafnir said, looking his head to lower the ground near where Tanin stood. "All right, more or less." Looking at his drink, but first of all turning his attention to Fafnir. "Change your form, you're attracting a lot of attention," before taking a sip to his drink. "I don't like that form. Apart from that, I'm very busy dragon, so I shall say my goodbyes," Fafnir said, preparing to leave until he heard a dark growl directed at him. "Fafnir!" Tanin said. His tone was dark, almost like a snarl. Fafnir stopped in his tracks. If it was rare for Tanin to speak like this, usually his tone is almost spoken calm, but proud, boring, or a little angry tone, but that tone was something else. "What's going on, Tanin?" Fafnir said, a little nervous as he directed his attention back to Tanin. "Are you deaf? I told you to change forms," Tanin said. Fafnir, sighing in defeat, "Since I have no other choice left," Fafnir said. A shine covered Fafnir completely. When the shine went away, a man of about 25 years appeared with golden hair, eyes of the same color, and wearing a gold-colored suit with silver details. "I didn't remember how you looked that way," Tanin said. Yeah. Now what do you want? Because you know I don't like to be in this form," Fafnir said. "First, sit down," pointing to the stump next to him. Okay, sitting next to Tanin, but having an eerie feeling. "Now you want some?" Showing the glass bottle that he held, amber liquid. "Oh, gimme," a little excited, momentarily forgetting about the bad feeling he had. Tanin took out another bottle and gave it to Fafnir. Opens up the bottle, begins to drink. "Golden apple liquor, how delicious," Fafnir said. "Yeah, you're right. Drinking wine from his own bottle," Tanin says. Both drank as if it were water. They drank about 4 bottles. "So," looking at Tanin, "why'd you want to talk to me?" His dragon tones changed, but from playful to serious. Tanin song, "It's complicated. You're not going to believe me," Tanin said. The former Dragon Kings was very wary, but still maintained serious aspect of the situation. We'll see," Fafnir said. "Yeah, we'll see," sang again, "but here we go." Tanin started talking about everything that was happening to Issei with some sentences. Tanin expelled a large amount of aura. Fafnir remained silent, but this was stupid and unreal, but every word was killing him, as the people that he had made contracts with could do that. It had to be a lie, that he would have thought. When Tanin was finished, Fafnir grabbed Tanin by the collar of his suit as he got up. While standing, he lifted Tanin up into the air. Tanin looked unfazed by the action as he expected this to happen, and maintained a serious demeanor on Fafnir, his hair covered his gaze. "You have to be," increasing his strength in his grip, lying to me with a murderous intent in his eyes as he turned to gaze at former Dragon King. "Look at me," breaking Fafnir's grip and grabbing him by the neck. "Do I look like I'm lying, you idiot?" Tanin said. Both of them had veins popping out of their necks and faces. Each one looked at each other with hopes of killing each other. "She wouldn't do something like this, the crow. Maybe, but not her, you liar," Fafnir said, grabbing Tanin again and increasing his grip strength. "Ha! You think," very annoyed with Fafnir not seeing the truth. "Of course I believed in her," very annoyed by the accusation against his partner, Fafnir said. "Well, then let's go and see." His tone was the dead of emotions. "Fine by me," letting go of Tanin, but the change of the tone in Tanin's voice brought an eerie feeling. "Shall we?" Releasing Fafnir, but his tone remained dead. They both adjusted their suits and formed a magic circle. Lower your aura to the maximum, Tanin said. We don't want to be detected. All right, Fafnir replied, doing what Tanin told him, and they both disappeared in the mountain. Now, at the Hyoudou mansion, the room of Asuya in the human world, two magical circles appeared, one purple, one golden, and two figures emerged in the room after a few seconds. When Fafnir arrived, he fell to the ground, covering his nose tightly. Tanin looked around the room. His owner was not here, and it was not likely that they went on the mission. Since he attended Issei's secret meeting, and the reactions from biblical leaders were an indication of trust was no longer in the Gremory Parage, nor the reincarnated angel or parts of them team of the White Dragon. So, where she was, he did not know, but what she did know, that this was the room reeked of a dragon, and not of the Sekiryuutei. Who was it? Fafnir said, his voice in an emotionless tone. Tanin sighing, I won't tell you, knowing Fafnir's temper, which could cause him to go into outrage mode. Fafnir gets up and hits Tanin in the face. I demand to know what piece of shit Asuya did this with. You told me of the situation of Issei, Fafnir said, annoyed by what he has learned. No. With Fafnir's fist in his face. I'm not going to tell you, Tanin replied. Fafnir was about to hit Tanin again, but he received a blow to his stomach that dropped him to the ground. If you plan to fight, it will not be here, creating a magic circle. I cannot risk you leaving evidence, grabbing Fafnir, and then both of them left the room. Now, Underworld, Mountain of Tanin's territory. Upon arrival, Fafnir got up and hit Tanin in the face so hard that it sent him to another mountain. You cursed dragon, tell me, Fafnir said. Fafnir was about to go to Tanin, but out of nowhere in his dragon form, Tanin appeared on top of him. He hit Fafnir with a hammer blow that dropped him to the ground below, creating a massive crater. Fafnir tried to get up, but Tanin followed with his initial blow with his stomp that slammed Fafnir with his colossal force, forcing him to further into the ground, creating another crater within the initial crater. Calm down, Tanin said. Fafnir stopped moving, but Tanin waited a few minutes to remove his foot from Fafnir's body. Why? Why didn't you tell me? Fafnir said, his voice in a very low tone as he was demoralized. Look at how you reacted. If I have told you, you would have gone berserk, alerting them of our presence, shrinking down, but still in his dragon form, and sitting next to Fafnir, who was still nailed to the earth. And you? Aren't you upset? Fafnir said. He was your student, never taking his head off the ground. Tanin, looking at the sky. Of course I am. If it were up to me, I would have already killed them all. I would have dissected those traitors. But Issei left everything in the hands of the factions. Not surprising, since he wants peace and doesn't want the hassle of dealing with them, Tanin said. And how was he? Fafnir said, sticking his head out of the earth and slowly removing himself from the crater. Well, he has a third-degree phase of the fall. I was surprised he hadn't gone crazy. A little proud of Issei for not failing completely. I see. Sitting down next to Tanin, Fafnir says, I'm sorry, looking at the sky. No worries, I've seen worse, remembering the brutal beatdown that Issei gave to Sanji from the memories. To Tanin, he fought like a dragon despite the fall affecting him. And what will you do now? Tanin said, looking at Fafnir. Fafnir remained silent for a few seconds before talking. Can I ask you a favor? Fafnir said, a calm tone in his voice as he made the decision. It depends, Tanin says. Can I stay in your territory for a while? With a sad tone, Fafnir finishes. Tanin was surprised by the quickly he spoke. Sure, but no nonsense. Getting up from the ground, Tanin says. Who do you think I am? Fafnir replied, getting up as well, but becoming a little normal with a playful tone. Yeah, but I warn you, try something stupid and I will kick you out, Tanin says, starting to walk out. Ha, come on. Can I take a time to see your hatchlings? Walking with Tanin, transferring back to his own dragon form, but he remained human size. Whatever, Tanin said. Let's enjoy the night, Fafnir said, becoming his playful self, but secretly sorry, Asuya. But you're on your own now. Guess I'll have to find a new partner. Since Odin revived me, maybe a Valkyrie. Maybe we just have to wait and see, Fafnir says. Both went about talking about mundane things until they reached the house of Tanin, where they both entered. Underworld, the room of Issei. Now we're at his bathroom. Issei vomiting in the toilet. Ugh, guess it's about time already. Getting up to wash his hands. Well, you're better than I thought you'd be. A dragon in your situation can only have dirt about 10 to 15 times. But you went at it 35 times, and with out, counting oral. Ha! I must say you're a monster in the bed, partner. While there was some mockery in his tone, there was also pride as well. No wonder you're going to need a harem. You might have broken the strongest woman in the underworld, Ddraig finishes. So you're proud, aren't you? Issei says, brushing his teeth to get out the taste of blood. Of course! Before you were a supreme virgin, but at last this little title has been revoked, Ddraig said. Ha! Very funny. That's not the only little title I will get rid of, as he finished brushing. Ddraig confused by what his partner was referring to. Leaving that aside, how do you feel after the match with your big sister, or mating with her, one of the most beautiful girls in the underworld? Still teasing him, partner, Issei blushed at what Ddraig said. Ddraig, let's leave that alone. Little annoyed, Issei was. Ha! It was to be expected. You are a dragon and you only seek strong mates, while adding to himself, unlike those whores who can't wait to open their legs for another. But at least they showed their true selves, turning his attention back to Issei. Before you loved that she called you her Oto more and more, right? But to think that you have left the perversion you had, but it's good, though you can do those perverse things with her now. Well, one thing I learned that is one to be perverted and another to do perversions. Diverting the subject of Seraphol, one got me stabbed in the back, but that won't happen again. And that is where we're going to stop for now. Basically, a little bit into chapter 15. The reason why I'm going to stop is because I've been reading for forever and I'm getting extremely tired. No, but I know you guys wanted another part, so this should be coming out Thursday or tomorrow. I'm recording this currently on Wednesday, April 12th? Yeah, okay, April 12th, Wednesday. So it should be coming out tomorrow. If it doesn't, something happened. So yeah, thank you guys so much for the support, man. Remember to go subscribe to my second channel, Ampalpalski, 55,000 subscribers. Just turn on there and follow DXD down in the description below. Also, we're about to hit 36,000 subscribers on Spartanic Arts DXD, which is absolutely amazing. I cannot thank you guys enough, man. It truly is a blessing. And I just wanted to say a couple things before we left a little micro studio we got here. So, there's a lot of things that have been going on, and I apologize that I've been away for about 2.5 weeks from recording the next part, which is part 5, which is the current one I'm talking about right now. I apologize, but if you guys want to know exactly when I upload, such my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button, or click the link in the premiere, or click the link in the first link in the description below, and it'll lead you to how I do my upload schedules. So, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate the support. I've just been extremely tired. I had a lot of things to do. I had a lot of things to solve. And, you know, I'm A-okay now, you know what I'm saying? I'm big chilling again. And, you know, around in the future of May, you know, it'll be summer and I can just sit there and record some more and have some fun. So thank you so much for the support once again. If we could hit 500 or 600 likes, that'd be absolutely amazing. I cannot thank you enough for the support. And without further ado, Spartanic Arts DXD out.